Michigan deer hunters across the state are fed up with the Michigan DNR, but honestly, should they be fed up with the DNR? I had a huge response on my last video, you guys. If you haven't watched that yet, unreal. The amount of comments I got from one side of the state to the other, north to south, east to west, across the UP. You guys made it well aware that you are totally fed up with deer hunting, regulations and laws in Michigan. You're fed up with the DNR. You're fed up with all of it. We're going to dive into all that. For you guys that are new here, my name's Pawlosky. This is my YouTube channel, The Outdoor Conquest, based right here in the great state of Michigan. I do a lot of fishing activities, hunting activities. I do a lot of gear reviews throughout the year. I do some type of controversial videos like the ones I've been posting lately. We're going to keep this one as short and sweet as possible, but if you are new here, consider subscribing to the channel, you guys. It's 100% free for you to subscribe. You just click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification to all. That way you're notified the second I upload a new video. I am an active member, field staff for the MUCC here in Michigan, the Michigan United Conservation Club. I am in good standing with Commemorative Bucks of Michigan, which I have submitted deer for that. In case you're wondering about my credentials, I do shoot big bucks. I've shot elk, caught a lot of different species of fish. And also, if you guys are familiar with Mike Avery, check out his latest podcast because I was one of the marquee guests.
Luke Pawlosky is a guy that I've been following online for the last couple of years. I find this guy to be fascinating, extremely interesting. If you go to his Outdoor Conquest YouTube channel, you'll see what I mean.
I was actually in the first hour. We were talking about muskie fishing on the Detroit River. So shout out to Mike Avery. Thanks for having me on the show. But let's dive into it, you guys. Michigan deer hunters as a whole are completely fed up with the Michigan DNR. So why is that? There's a lot of regulations that continue to get poured on us as deer hunters here in the great state of Michigan, whether it's banning the ability for us to legally bait here in the lower peninsula, although the upper peninsula they're allowed to bait. The issues with CWD, the issues with EHD, the cost of hunting tags going up. But let's not even mention hunting tags. Now, I'm going to bring up a lot of things based off the comments from my last video. You guys did a phenomenal job in the last video. I asked for some comments so I can engage with you guys. You provided those comments, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. It really opened my eyes to what's going on. But from what I learned, as far as the state of Michigan goes as a whole, the deer population is really broken down into so many different areas and zones. Like, from what it sounds like to me, the UP is damn near extinct as far as white-tailed deer. And everybody up there is just struggling. I know there's areas that have a little more deer than others, but it seems like the harsh winters, which they always get, in the wolf population has pretty much decimated the deer population up there. The lower peninsula, southwest lower peninsula got hammered with EHD. Guys are not wanting to even harvest the deer, even though they see a couple every night. They're not wanting to harvest one because of the limited amount of deer because of what EHD did to the herd. Now, I know in my last video I said the DNR is begging and wincing hunters to basically start shooting does, and you guys have taken it into your own hands, and eyes in the field have noticed that the does aren't there. There is does in certain farmers' fields that aren't even accessible, okay? And we're going to get into that here in a second, but you guys in the field that are actually in the field hunting these deer are figuring out what's going on and making decisions based off of your observation and your experience on what's right to do, not what the DNR is telling you to do. Now, let's dive into whether DNR is the one even to blame here. Although the DNR, according to the comments and from my experience as well in the field, treat a lot of us hunters like we're criminals, like we're convicts. Like they come up to us in the field and immediately treat us like we're breaking the law. I even read a comment in the video that to hunt in Michigan, you basically have to have a lawyer with you on your side just because of, you know, it's so hard to not break the law or break a rule because everything, you know, every year they keep adding more things to it and it's so hard to keep up with it. But on top of that, the DNR in the field treats us all like convicts. It's not, there's no type of brotherhood, I'll call it there. Like, the DNR is a good thing to have. It's great to have law enforcement in the outdoors, wildlife and fishery, the protection of wildlife and fisheries, all that type of stuff. But the way they treat guys in the field when it comes to hunting has all but ran a lot of people out of this state from hunting just because of encounters. The harassment of hunters that the DNR puts on us is out of control. It really is. And it's not just me saying that, it's you guys in the comments. So again, I appreciate that. But now we get political, okay? In my opinion, and it's pretty much factual, the NRC, the National Resource Commission, are the ones to blame. So what we got to do is understand what the NRC is and what's the DNR's role when it comes to making rules and laws in the state of Michigan. But the NRC is the National Resource Commission is a public commission composed of 7 members that are appointed by none other than the governor, and right now, in the years prior, has been Governor Gretchen Whitmer. So basically, it's a governing body that sets a broad policy and is basically the middleman between the DNR and the public, and they are the ones that ultimately decide whether or not there's going to be rule changes to hunting and fishing in the state of Michigan. And that's what it boils down to. And then at that point, the DNR's role is to enforce those laws and rules. And that's basically as simple as I can put it. But the ultimate enemy in this state is not the DNR, although they can be really reckless out in the field with us hunters when it comes to hunter harassment and things like that, overstepping their boundaries. And honestly, our biggest enemy is the NRC. There's 7 National Resource Commission members seating actively that host meetings monthly. And you and I are able to go to these meetings, okay, and voice our opinions on certain issues. The DNR are also willing and able to go to these meetings and gather the data they've had from guys in the field or things they're seeing and pour it all onto the NRC. And the NRC is ultimately the one that makes a decision on what to move forward with for hunting regulations, fishing regulations, trapping regulations, all that type of stuff. And the Michigan Spear Fishing Association just went through that, and they got a lot more bodies of water approved for those guys to spearfish underwater, which is great for them. Anybody can actually apply to be appointed at the NRC, to be a member of the NRC. I did some research on this, and you or I can just as easily become appointed by the next governor. There's ways to go through it, writing letters. It's not really like campaigning, but you got to have a background in the outdoor industry that really helps support your case. You're going to want to find local representative to help support your case to them. If you're interested in being one of the 7 people, and honestly, the more I think about it, I feel like it'd be a great spot for me as a voice of reason in there. Will it ever happen? I don't know, but the thought has, I've considered it, and it's got my wheels spinning. Why can't I do it, right? So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So let's talk about a few issues now that have really hit home here in the state of Michigan. Why, in my opinion, based off of what I've read in the comments and the research I've done, why the hunting population, the guys in the field buying tags and going out hunting, why that has declined huge over the years, and the issues people have with hunting in the state of Michigan. Now, number one is hunting access, really. The DNR is selling off public acres, okay, for us that was available to us as outdoorsmen in the state of Michigan or non-residents to go out there and hunt. And they are legitimately selling these acres off and getting rid of them. And number 2 with that, we'll just add on to this one, is the deer population in certain areas of the state just isn't there anymore. Okay, whether it's EHD that wiped it out, the CWD, which hasn't had a great impact, although there is cases of it, it's not as bad as EHD. The harsh winters we've been having the last couple years, especially in the UP and the northern lower peninsula, I mean, it wiped out a lot of habitat for the deer and also took out a lot of the deer herd. And that's coming from you guys in the comments. You're not even seeing the deer to harvest the deer in certain areas of the state, and it's really unfortunate. The cost, okay? The cost of deer hunting. Now, there's mixed opinions, and guys were getting in the comments arguing with each other about a $5 raise in the tag ain't a big deal. Well, ultimately it is if you add it all up. And why guys aren't shooting does in bow season is because if you add up the cost of a tag, okay, tag, vehicle, to get you there. A weapon, if that's a bow, we'll call it, just say $500. To get a dozen arrows or a half dozen, you're in about $100. A broadhead's going to be anywhere from $20 to $50 a piece. You start compounding all that, and why would a hunter want to waste his hard-earned dollars on shooting a doe when he's ultimately there for the prize possession? Whether he's a meat hunter or not, he can wait to shoot a doe, because going out with a gun, a 12 gauge Remington, and a 1 ounce slug is a lot cheaper than launching an arrow at a doe and potentially not even making a clean enough shot to recover the harvest. So there's issues like that, and that's why I believe the deer numbers are down. Not only that, but the amount of guys hunting just aren't what it used to be. So now the lack of access to hunting private land has pretty much become non-existent as well. Guys with fat wallets are taking over farmers' properties and leasing them up, man. And I've seen it firsthand. Areas I used to be able to just access and hunt, along with other guys, areas I grew up in, worked for these farmers. Now we're approached by a hunting group, and all these guys pool their money, and now they're leasing this land, and we can't even hunt it. And there's deer on this land, but the hunter's not allowing us on it because he's getting his pocket filled from guys that are emptying their pockets to hunt it. And it makes it really difficult for guys like me, and I know a lot of guys that are watching my videos that want to hunt other places other than public land, because public land can be a grind. And when you don't have a lot of time, it's nice to have somewhere to be able to go where you know there's deer, and your opportunity is, in your odds of harvesting are way up, okay? So access to private land has been an issue. One of the things a few of the guys had mentioned is start a new program. The DNR should consider starting a new program where the state and even insurance companies allow access to some of these guys. Because even if they're not leasing the land, a lot of these farmers don't want you on their land. They don't want, grandma might like watching the deer or this or that, but yet they're going to harvest these deer when they get their block permits in the summertime. They're just going to go out there and drop them. But it's leaving the opportunity for us hunters that want to actually go out, harvest the deer, and feed our families with it, or buddies, or whatever, donate the deer. Those opportunities are right out the window, and it's really unfortunate because there's so much private land out there that isn't being leased, that can be accessed by responsible hunters like a lot of you guys and myself that just want to go out there and mind their own business, harvest a deer, leave the land better than what we found it, and help manage the deer population in areas that need managing in the state. So one of the biggest issues in the state of Michigan is the whole baiting thing. Okay, I grew up being able to legally bait. I used to look forward to it. I really look forward to watching deer come into it, harvesting deer from it, harvest dozens of deer off a bait pile over the years. And I got just as much thrills doing that as I did sitting in a big stand of woods, or sitting on the edge of a cornfield, or sitting on the edge of a hayfield. And this is going back before trail cameras, you guys. And honestly, it was a great experience. It's a great way to get our younger generation into hunting as well, because there can be an expectation that, you take a youngster out there and you got a bait pile, and they're going to be able to see deer, and they're going to be able to experience that thrill of the hunt, of being outdoors. They're going to be able to experience what we got to experience growing up. And it's not about just being lazy. There's guys in the comments that are saying things like, oh, just sit over a pile of corn and it's a lazy way to hunt. Well, unfortunately, it's one way to draw deer in off somebody else's property that may be baiting also, or have food plots or corn or bean stands, things like that. But it's an opportunity for guys like me and a lot of you guys that don't have the opportunity to hunt all that often. And it gives us a chance to potentially harvest a deer and put the deer in a position to make a clean harvest. And the DNR and the NRC are saying that it spreads CWD. I don't want to hear that bullshit, because these deer put their mouths on the same thing all throughout the woods, all throughout the feeding fields, all throughout the freaking food plots and all that, the licking branches, all that. They're swapping spit all the time. And just because you take, like Ted Nugent said it perfectly, it makes zero sense to take apples that have fallen from a tree and to move them, even if it's 50 yards or 100 yards over to where your hunting stand is. It is now illegal. But the apples that are at that tree are no different than a bait pile. If you were to create one, whether it's with carrots, sugar beets, corn, or apples from the tree that fell, and move them over. So honestly, like, baiting needs to get reinstated. Baiting needs to be legalized again in the lower peninsula. This will help. This will help with the deer herd. This will help keep the deer herd in check. Guys will take more does because it's an easier opportunity to take more does. It's honestly a no-brainer, and how they can't see that is beyond me. It's beyond me. It's beyond you guys. It makes zero sense. I mean, baiting is basically legal as it is, because you go to any gas station. On my ride to work, I pass 5. Every one of them's got bags of sugar beets, bags of corn, bags of carrots. What are they selling it for? They're selling it for dudes to throw out in the woods to bait deer. But yet it's illegal, so it's such a gray area, and I don't want to have to pay a fee to bait. I want to be able to go buy the damn bait, put it in the woods, and sit over it and harvest a deer. There should be nothing wrong with that, and why the governor won't budge on it, why the NRC won't budge on it, is beyond me. It makes absolutely zero sense. There's no science behind it. Okay, if there was science that said they were negative to the deer herd, I'd go with it, but there is none. There's no science. If you guys are heading up north or heading down south, wherever you're going, enjoy what is the deer camp season, the Michigan tradition of opening firearm deer season. Get in there with the Orange Army. Throw the Blaze Orange hat on, throw the Blaze Orange vest on, load up the firearm, and drop some deer, and just enjoy the harvest, man. Don't worry whether or not the buck is too small because your neighbor said so. It has nothing to do with that. We're getting away from that, and it's honestly annoying. What it's about is enjoying what is the tradition of the Michigan firearm deer season, what is the tradition of deer camp, what is the tradition of being able to harvest these animals to provide for our families. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, also be sure to email me your guys' success stories. I've gotten a couple in, and I want to share these in my deer camp video I'll be uploading shortly after the opening weekend. But email me, theoutdoorconquest@gmail.com. Be sure to just add a couple pictures, a little context, where you guys hunt, that type of thing. Tell me a little bit about the story, and I will include these in the next video. And honestly, even if you're not in Michigan, if you're watching this from, I had guys comment from Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Minnesota, Wisconsin, all you guys, send me that stuff, and I'll share it with you guys. If you're willing to have it shared out there, I'd be more than happy to do it. Also, be sure to check out the Mike Avery Outdoors podcast. I was on that recently and had a great discussion with Mike Avery. Loved Mike Avery. Loved him. Loved his content since I've been a little kid. And it's been a humbling experience to find myself in these positions where I get to have conversations with guys like this. So, and with that, be sure to stick around, because I just uploaded another video after this one talking about the state of Michigan paying deer hunters to sniper, to sharpshoot, to limit a deer herd over on the west side of the state. So if you guys are on the west side of the state, you might want to tune into this one I got uploaded. Also, anybody in the state of Michigan, I don't know what it's going to entail, but it sounds like it's already been approved, and they want to take out a big section of the deer herd over there. And the Michigan DNR has already gotten involved, so we're going to talk about that in the next video. Thank you guys again for watching. Good luck at the Michigan Firearm opening weekend. I hope you guys have a great time, whether you harvest or not. Just to get out there, enjoy the time with friends and family, and I'll see you guys back here soon.